to have you state your education, your business experience, any experiences that you've done on any board or commission of the city, and whatever else you want to add to your opening statement.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for letting me come and speak to you all. Unfortunately, I'm sorry that Mrs. John Rowe isn't here to talk about the issues. I would like to have had a debate with her, but as you can see, she saw fit not to come. Let's see, I am a small business owner there here in Georgetown. I have a small VRBO, which we have 4 units in, and we rent them out on a daily basis. It's a vacation rental. I have in education. I used to go to the University of Houston. I graduated from there. I have a business administration degree with my major as computer information systems. I served in the United States Air Force and the United States Army. Grew up in San Antonio. I spoke to you once before, so I have a long history of being a Texan. I am a Texan, I should say. And I live, work, and play here in Georgetown, so Georgetown is very dear to my heart. I chose to live in Georgetown because of the charm of Georgetown. I could have chosen any place to live across the I-35 corridor, but Georgetown was something that I found completely by accident, and I really, really enjoy Georgetown. So I don't plan on changing Georgetown. I want to keep going with the progress that Georgetown is making right now. We found ourselves in a growth spurt right now, and I want to continue that growth spurt, but I want to have smart growth and keeping the charm of Georgetown. I have sat on the historical commission. My reason for getting on the historical commission was I decided to redo our house, and the reason I became involved with city was because of that. I started reading policies and procedures on how things had to be done, and I started getting involved with the community. I belong to the Chamber of Commerce, I belong to the American Legion here, I belong to the Historical Preservation Society here, and so I have ties here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm planning on retiring here. So if I don't live in the downtown district, I always see myself moving on to a different place within Georgetown. So I'm going to set roots here, and I'm not moving. So that's pretty much it.
Excellent. Excellent. How many city council meetings have you attended in the past year?
Within the past year, I have watched the majority of city council meetings on GTV. I have attended 6 city council meetings within Georgetown, mostly to get caught up on issues within Georgetown.
How are you funding your campaign?
I have gone out and raised money independently from business owners, from individuals. They have donated to me, and I have put some of my own money up.
From your perspective, what are your key responsibilities sitting on the city council?
I am going to, well, city council has 2 responsibilities. It's to follow policy, enact policy, and budget. Those are the 2 main things.
What are the biggest challenges you see the city council facing in the next 3 years?
We're going to continue to see growth within our city. That is our biggest challenge right now. So that is the major issue right now.
And here's the big ones now. How will you defend the Constitution, and do you believe that you can do all you can to prevent Georgetown from ever becoming a sanctuary city?
I will continue. I still go by what I signed up for when I enlisted in the United States Army first, which was to defend our Constitution to the best of my ability. So I will do everything in my power to make sure that we continue to have our rights. As a serviceman, I still live by that code. I will do everything in my power to uphold the Constitution of the United States. There has never been any wavering in my ability to fight for our Constitution. As a sanctuary city, I don't believe that we are a sanctuary city at this point. So I don't plan, it's not something that City Council would, if City Council gets involved with that, at that point, we would have to look at all of the factors of it. It's not something that's on my agenda at this point, and since it's not something that Georgetown is looking at to change, that's not something that I would really be able to talk to at this point. If it comes up for City Council, then we would have to look at it at that point, but I don't see that becoming an issue right now.
Okay. Describe your district, would you? What boundaries it has?
My district goes all the way over to Inner Loop. It goes east up to Inner Loop. We also have a small portion that comes over to the west side of 35 up to the airport.
Well, how is your campaign being received in your district, and what campaigning have you done there?
How's it being received? It's being received, I have both negative and positive. The people that are standing with Rachel or know her because she's been on City Council for 6 years now, 2 terms. So they're not wanting that much change. What I'm doing at this point is I am going to continue to talk to everyone within my district. I believe that I need to speak with everyone, not just supporters that don't support her, but I need to speak to her supporters also to try and show them that it may be time for it. It's a time for a change, period. Okay? I don't know of any other thing to say, but it's time for a change. I am having a lot of pushback from that. I am a new individual to the city, so they see me as an individual that's not good for the city. However, I need to continue to push on and let that rhetoric just continue to talk behind. That noise is going to be out there for a while. There's nothing I can do to change that.
I'm going to suspend the rules of the forum. If somebody has a question for Mr. Romero on the answer he gives, please raise your hand. I'll call him. We've got the time, we might as well do it. Yes.
Well, a couple thoughts on his prior answer and the current answer on sanctuary cities and defending the Constitution. That I'm glad to hear you going to defend that, because the Constitution makes it very clear that only Congress can make the rules for immigration, and not the president, and not the courts, and not a city council, or even a state legislature. So that's pretty clear. We have to follow what Congress generates. And right now, of course, we're not doing it because there are cities that are revolting against it. But also on your relative position to the behavioral attitude of the city of Georgetown and kind of being an outsider, I mean, that's kind of good. One of the things that's very distressing right now, watching the city council, is it reminds me of a Twilight Zone episode, and also a Star Trek, where you've got this little legislative council, and there's one guy that's asking the council, how do you vote in front of this? And he pushes a button and all the arms go up. And that's kind of the behavior of city council right now. Every time they say something, it's 7-0, 7-0. So there's something going on behind the scenes where there's no open dissension on issues,
Do you have
which
a
is
question?
critical. So will you be part of one of that behavioral thing of making decisions behind the scene and then coming into public forum and just waving your hand? Or will you actually present an independent or intelligent view to the contrary in open council meeting?
I will always question. That's always been the way that I work. Even on HARC, currently, I question. I question why. I question the policy says this. Why does the policy say that? How long has this policy been enforced? Should we not look at the policy and change the policy? So I will bring questions to it, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, to the public.
To the public, yes.
Okay. The FAA has designated GT Airport as a reliever for ABI. Federal rules mandate that the airport would have to be expanded, and that in that eventuality, are you in favor of expanding the airport in place or moving it to a different area?
I am not in favor of expanding it. I've also had a meeting with the city manager, and there are no plans to expand it. There are plans to redo the airport's landing path, the tarmac, to make it larger, thicker, so that they can land on the specific, on that tarmac. It's better, what I have been told is that the reason that they're doing that is so that it can have a longevity span. They are not looking to expand it, they're not looking to move it, they're not looking to do any of that. So it's not being looked at to be moved anywhere. They have put the fueling tanks above ground for environmental reasons, but there has been no discussion about moving it. They're not looking at expanding it to land any additional large planes on it. It's not looking to be a regional airport, and this is all information that I received when I had a meeting with the city manager for the questions that you all asked.
Question?
I have a question and a comment. You need to get the other view of that.
Other view from where, sir?
The other view on the airport. So when the city talks about they're not expanding the airport, they mean in land area. They are expanding the capacity of the airport. So that thicker runway will accommodate twice the size of airplane that's currently on that, currently allowed under FAA rules. So they're expanding the capacity, they are not expanding the area. But when they double, so you need to probably talk to the people that live around the airport, because they're the group and they're very concerned about that issue of literally having up to a 737 sized airplane be able to land at that airport.
I asked that specific question for a 737 to be landing there. There's not enough room for a 737 to land there or a 757 to land there.
I understand that.
Okay. But what they did tell me was that there will be more planes that will land, but the planes that are landing there are for fueling purposes only, so that we can have more fuel being sold in order to have the money from the taxes to come.
That's expanding the capacity of the airport when you have more airplanes taking off and landing.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on.
So yes, that is
good information.
And I have asked to find out what the statistics are on how many more planes we have gotten in there, so that I can.
Well, they haven't done the increased
Yeah.
runway thickness yet.
Okay, but they have increased some and that's what I asked them to find out how much we've increased since they've done the fueling.
Okay, question?
Again, on the airport, if they're going to be increasing capacity, that's more airplanes flying overhead, which is more noise, because you can hear them going in and that's an issue that's, they can say, oh, too bad, a little extra noise, nobody cares, but the people, those of us that have to listen to it all the time, we do care.
I think we've given him input on that. Population growth in Georgetown is growing between 4.4%, but based on electric hookups, and 5.5 to 5.8% on Census Bureau. Will you support a policy that limits debt and budget growth to no more than population plus inflation?
I am going to have to take a stance of, I don't know enough about that right now to talk
Okay.
intelligently about that.
Anybody comment?
I
Yes.
would just recommend that you go to the Texas Public Policy Foundation website. They have developed that policy that government should not grow more than population plus inflation.
Yeah.
And the state, in fact, in the last biennial budget, met that requirement. The state budget did not grow more than population plus inflation.
May I ask what your recommendations are? Is that what you want?
Well,
Is to
yes,
stick
there's
to that?
To me, there's a rationale that you can grow the government as the population grows.
Okay.
But what's the rationale for growing at double that rate, the budget of the city? I don't know of any.
Okay.
Do you support city officials lobbying state legislators, and in some cases, they've actually done it against taxpayer interest?
Once again, that's going to be one of those that I don't know about, but I can honestly say I would not, I personally would not support that.
Okay. It is currently being done.
Yes, sir.
Are you familiar with the Texas Municipal League?
No, sir.
You're not, but that's another area to research because they have a tax and spend philosophy, and they think big government is wonderful.
And the city of Georgetown belongs to the Texas Municipal League.
And the Texas Municipal League was very strongly supportive of killing the last annexation bill that the state of Texas had. The way it is now, I don't know if you know it, but the city's annexed property, the citizens have no say-so about it. Senator, what's her name?
Connie
No,
Campbell?
Donna Campbell, had a bill a couple of years ago that got this, that municipal association got killed because she proposed, of all things, that citizens have a right to vote whether they're annexed or not.
Well, that would be the next question. Do you believe citizens do have the right to vote before a city annexes it?
On my personal beliefs, I do. That's me personally. As a city as a whole, once again, I would have to do more studying on it because it's a different thing for me to say politically what I would believe in and personally what I believe in. I believe that personally, I would like to have a say if I'm annexed or not, okay? But when I would read through all of this, the Texas Municipal League, and information more on it about annexation, I would get more information out of reading about it, understanding it, synthesizing it, and then I could talk more coherently, more adept on the matter itself. So I would like that chance to come back and speak to that question.
Dave?
I think there's something we're missing here, and I'm just gonna make an assumption that half of Georgetown is Georgetown and half is in the ETJ, extraterritorial, and I don't know what the split is, but let's just say it's half and half. The half that's not in Georgetown proper probably shops in Georgetown. All the shops in Georgetown charge state tax, of which 2.25%, 2.5% goes to the city. So all the people in the ETJ are paying money through their taxes, the money they spend in Georgetown, to the city of Georgetown. So I think they deserve a vote, personally.
Yeah. Any comment? Okay. City Council and City of Georgetown, oh, this is my favorite, currently a member of the Lone Star Rail System at a cost of $60,000 a year now for 6 years. We have never seen one item of any value to that. Meanwhile, LSR has been denied permission to even use what they thought they could use, and are now functionally down and out, but yet we just approved another $60,000. What is your point on the, what's your development program on LSR? What's your thoughts on that?
On the LSR, that's a touchy subject.
Yes, it is. That's why you're brother.
I mean, I do believe that we should have new rails, but it's, we're from we have to do a study, not a study, but I believe we need to have some kind of commuter rail. I do believe that. I do think that we're a little bit behind on that with everything that we see within the United States. I do think we need something. However, I don't believe we're going about it the right way. And I do think that we have had some money that has gone and been, I don't want to say wasted, it was a learning curve, but I think we will have, if I get in, I will definitely take a look at what we have, what can be done, make my suggestions and move forward. But I do think we need some kind of a railing system.
Karen.
I think we've spent way too much money studying and studying
Yes,
and
I know.
studying. And Texans, I'm sorry, I'm not going to get on a train. We got our trucks and our cars and we're so far out in places, it's really a waste of money. And I think it should be put up to a dam vote so that we can put away this. To waste some more money on all these studies is absolutely asinine.
One of the key features, Mr. Romero, of the LSR is that it is not a commuter. It is a full-blown locomotive engine.
Diesel.
It is a full-blown engine that is supposed to get some rail concessions, and from the beginning, the company, the four companies that, the rail companies have already denied them any access to their rails. And yet they kept selling this to us, saying, we will be building on these lines. And it had already been denied from the beginning. So for future reference, do that. Yes, Melinda?
I thought it was interesting because they did a kind of an open forum where the citizens got to come in and give their input on whether this was a good idea, having this rail, specifically the Lone Star. And I talked to a few people, but one in particular I thought was very interesting. He said, oh, I think we need this. And I said, why? He said, well, because I just think it's a great idea. I said, would you write it? Well, yeah. And I said, for what? He goes, well, I might go once or so a year down to San Antonio just for fun. And I thought, with that mentality, do we really need to spend all that money, taxpayer money, so somebody could once a year write it just for fun?
You know, and that's a good point, because I spent like 14 years in Europe where they have rail and rail works.
Yes.
And I've used it, and it sometimes is better than a car, but you can't, it's not a one size fits all. Like if I was in a train, if I was in Georgetown and I want to get on a train, where am I going to go? You know what I mean? It's going to put me in another place where I have to walk, 5 miles to get somewhere else. So if it doesn't have value, economic value, it's going to be like Amtrak on the East Coast, which is a loser of money. So, and government shouldn't get into losing,
This is really turning into a training session, so I hope
Yeah.
you enjoy it.
I have one other question on rail because I don't know.
Okay.
You're talking about a diesel locomotive, not bullet trains, correct?
No.
Thank you.
There was never that, and the sad part about it is I presented to the city council back when Garber was mayor a Cato Institute that no rail system in the United States has been anywhere near break even. BART right now is trying to figure a way to put out a $15 billion bond because of deferred maintenance, that they haven't been able to afford maintenance on BART.
John, I came from the Washington D.C.
Out
area,
there.
and there when we gone walking around against the Lone Star Trail train, this lady told me, well, you should look at that as a model. She says, they make money. Do you know why they make money? Because all the federal employees get free transportation cards. I mean,
But
it's
they
such
don't
a lot.
really make money.
what's the
The
taxpayer
Baltimore, Washington rail
No, I'm
costs
just talking about-
$15.77 for every person that gets on it.
And I'm not talking about the Washington, I'm talking about the
Metro.
metro, which gets you outside of DC into the city. I mean, and that's, might be what we need, but they don't make money, it's falling apart.
Kathy?
I like the Metro riding from outside of DC into DC, and I like the Amtrak riding from outside of DC into DC.
We have to consider this from the perspective of businessmen. You need a certain population density that wants to go from A to B, to make it worthwhile. And I just don't see, if everyone in Georgetown went to San Antonio every day, I don't think this railroad would pay for itself.
John, the question, it's kind of a follow-on question to a prior question, but this subject is part of it. When they were playing this game a couple of years ago, the city attorney tried to help them slip this through on a resolution. Okay? After that, I was at that city council meeting, I pulled the mayor aside, and I said, you know, I was at the legislature fighting this when it was actually passed, these transportation reinvestment zones. And I said, you can't do this on a resolution. The state law that was passed requires an ordinance and public hearings. So that kind of shut down a lot of discussion, but then also a couple of city council members realized the way the agreement was written by the city attorney, they hadn't read it real closely the first time, even though they passed it once. It was an open-ended taxing authority that didn't have a sunset to it. So my question to you is the behavior of the council of doing a better analysis of what you're voting on, knowing what you're voting on, and making sure that the city input is not only there, but that the city gets an independent input from the citizens and not one just because they appoint some committee of their friends to come up with a predetermined answer. Are you going to fight that behavior?
I'm going to listen to everything. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to weigh the options. I'm going to be real honest with you. I'm going to tell you that I am so connected to my car, my vehicle. That is my horse. That is my buggy. So I don't know what I would do without my vehicle. So when I speak of commuter rail, transit like that, I come from the same place that you're coming from. I don't know life without a car. I have been through New York, I have been through Washington, I have been through other states that have commuter rail or train or Amtrak. I have done those things, but I do think we need maybe something. I don't know what the answer is, but I can read, I can synthesize the information, and I can try to figure it out. It's all new to me right now, but I'm trying to get as caught up as quickly as I can. But I do want to tell you that I have my horse and buggy, and I am a Texan, and so this is what I know, and this is all I know for 51 years.
Karen?
My question again is going to come back to that 6 years of studies. All of them failed. So would you be willing to pay another $60,000?
I don't want to do a study. I think the studies that we have are there, and so I think we should pull from the studies that we have. So I don't know that I would support another study.
Then what would?
I would
What
say
other
we
alternative do we
would
have?
need to pull from the studies that we have, and yes, we would have to have input from the citizens. That's what we would have to do at this point.
Okay, yes.
It may be interesting to look at how the line from Leander to Austin is doing. I'll bet the ridership is.
Running in the hole.
John, wasn't that John Rose project?
No, that was,
before, the one before.
what her name, Patty Houston was the one that promoted that at the start. She was on the LSR board, and the whole thing is there, and she also was a consultant.
It was my understanding that it was 49,000 a year, which is just under that 50,000 public mark.
Now, then they moved it up and gave approval for the next 4 years or something.
Well, when the word
like
got
that.
out, I think it was under the
Yes,
wire.
Right,
at
it was only,
49,000.
that's what he's talking about, they were trying to do a resolution rather than an actual ordinance, and so, I mean, an actual action of the city council. Georgetown has withdrawn from the county EMS system in favor of running its own EMS and have put it under the fire department domain. Do you support that decision? And if you do, why? And if you don't, why?
Okay, I support the resolution, because we have gotten to be a large enough city that we can handle our own EMS system. It's just, for me, it was a good alternative to going from county to city, and I think the numbers show that it has been a good match for the city.
Okay, what numbers?
That's gonna be, you're gonna have to bear with me on that.
I will.
Let's see here. It was a survey that was done, and so, I'm sorry, I cannot come up with it. I thought I had them. My apologies, I thought I had it with me, I guess I don't. The survey showed that everybody that was surveyed during the Southwestern survey felt that they were getting better quality service from their city of Georgetown than from the county. If I remember correctly, they felt that their response time was better here locally, and I cannot remember, so I'm going to have to back away from what I just
Well, we
said.
had a case in Sun City where the people called and it took them over a half an hour to get less than a mile to their house.
Response times have not measured up to what the county used to provide.
Response time is simple physics. It's distance and speed. And when you don't build new stations and substations, you don't improve response time. And the MS system that's been adopted by the city is a money loser. The county was absorbing that cost before the transition. And there hasn't been any new stations or substations built since the completion of the Taj Mahal.
It's my understanding in one of the city councils that I went to, there is going to be a new EMS built for Sun City, and also there's another one that's going to be built on a newer side of Sun City. I believe it's is it 95 that's over there? That 195 was going to be. That's in the works.
But the most rapid growth right now is down Highway 29 corridor, and there's nothing there.
One of the statistics that has come out is the response time of the county is still better than what we're getting from our in-house response times. And there have been several occasions where the response of the initial care unit was unable to help and had to wait for an actual ambulance to arrive. And with the county, that wasn't being experienced at a substantially lower cost to us.
Well, there was one incident where the citizen of Sun City was bitten by a rattlesnake, and it was a full hour before that person was delivered to a hospital that had the ability to treat it.
Linda?
It was my understanding that some of these emergency responses have not been needed, and when they don't take a patient, then they don't get paid.
If they don't transport.
Right, they don't transport. So I think that's one of the things that just because they go to a place, I think that should be part of the numbers.
Okay, so could you repeat what you just said to me?
So if EMS is required, but when they get there, they
The
find.
city EMS?
Right, they find they don't they don't need to transport the patient, they don't get money.
In terms of helping out your campaign, just as a little insert there, this fire-based EMS was a concept that came from Dallas, Mesa, Arizona, and King County, Washington, which is basically Seattle. And they want to have a giant service where they actually eventually provide flu shots and deliver them to the city locations. And this was a pet project of John Rowan Eason, your competitor, and it's a money loser.
Well, Stephen Fall actually initiated the city council discussion because he had to wait 13 minutes more than he thought he should.
But that was after the fact that they had already been recruiting a new fire chief to implement this plan.
So, information, budget in the city of Georgetown is now growing at 12.8% annually, has been for the last 5 years. If you think, if we're talking 50%. Is that sustainable in your opinion?
With the growth that we're having, I think that we're going to continue to see a growth in our budget. However, I don't know if that's sustainable at this time, at the present time.
Question? Comment?
John, do you have the growth of the population? I think it's like half that.
Yeah, we just said that, 4%, and we've asked about the tax increase to be, 4%, the growth plus, yes.
Do you know what the growth was from 1980 to 1990, 1990 to 2000 and stuff like that, and what the budget growth was during that time frame as well, for my information, for history?
I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Or from 2000 to 2010. Do we have any of that?
For the last 10 years, the numbers have been about, the budget have been about double the population growth.
But before that, we don't know.
I have not calculated those 10 years as long as I've calculated.
I know.
It'd be difficult to get it from the city more than 10 years.
I know, I'm
Records
wondering,
just ceased to exist at
I'm
times.
just wondering what it was before.
Yeah, but in the past 5 years, if you think 12 times 5, guys,
60.
in just 5 years, that's what, 5 times the growth of our city? And that, yes, we're growing, yes, we're gonna need more services, but what we're observing, and we've discussed it in our group, is kingdom building. Nero and the fire chief want to build their kingdoms, and they're constantly expanding those operations. And they seem to get, it's like a school bond election, everybody votes for it. Well, the city council seems to vote for anything they present as an increase in their budget.
It's an excellent candidate for zero-based budgeting. Are you aware of the concept of zero-based budgeting?
I am not.
It's an important concept. It basically says justify your budget before you apply dollars.
Several counties in Michigan have actually implemented that now to eliminate a lot of the chaff that's in the budget.
I do know something about it. I have read something about that, so I am familiar with it.
Well, it's a simple principle,
Yes.
Tell what it is. Every year you start off zero.
Yes.
You don't build from the last year.
Right.
Is 13 million appropriate to spend on a new city offices, what they call downtown west? And we know for a fact that nothing proposed is what the final bill will.
Is 13 million?
13 million.
As a business individual, I think it's difficult to say because I haven't seen everything that's been done. Okay, so I don't know I haven't seen all of the paperwork. I don't know what it all encompassed. I know that we reused some of the buildings. I really can't speak to the matter. I don't know what the city council came up with and why that was $13 million, so it's not something I can really speak to.
Is that to combine the two?
No, that's to abandon the library where their current city offices are and build a new one with, black, brass plaque phobia. I mean,
John, that's actually rebuilding the old library and the old GCAP building. The $13 million puts it at about $285 a square foot, which is not in any way reasonable.
But yeah, they're using the old library. They're renovating it.
Yeah, renovating it.
I thought they were renovating it.
Okay, if they're renovating it for $13 million, again, we're talking about $2.85 would probably build you the Taj Mahal today, per square foot.
285 would build.
Incredibly way above any standard of building. And this police thing out on DV Woods was $3.90 a square foot.
No, it's 300.
390
Yeah.
390
Because it's
square foot.
390.
But part of that problem is that they're building these things in accordance with United Nations specifications.
It's nuts.
Okay, we're at a 45-minute limit. If Mr. Romero would like to continue, he can, but at this point, he can break and you can give a closing statement. if you like.
Do you have time for one more question?
Sure do.
It's kind of a generic question, but it applies to all of the planning committees and planning things that are formed and appointed by city council, the same problems at the county level, but specifically the city one, and it ties to the concept of public-private partnerships and these planning groups where they have this so-called partnership between a handful of business folks and some city people, and they get on the committee and they make up all these rules for development of the local area. The specific problem you get into is that unless you have a good cross-section that's objectively obtained, you have a small group of unelected people who are inserting their preferences on how the rules should be written. And it's contrary to open and free competition. And they use this excuse of, we're making sure we have a competitive environment. What that really means is that they're determining what the competitive environment is to the exclusion of anybody can get into the game. So this actually goes back to like 1601 with the East India Company, of how little groups that aren't elected influence and control the planning. What would you do to stop this process and allow everybody to have free access to the Georgetown market?
I'd be a whistleblower. I'd be a whistleblower, because I don't like that. I think everybody needs to be, it needs to be fair. You know, I just think that I understand exactly what you're saying. I know I'm getting to see some of this, so I understand what you're talking about. And I would be the first one out there talking to somebody and letting somebody know in the press so that people can be made aware of it.
Question.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of a question and a comment. There's an old phrase that I saw and I like. It says, "No one ever worked their, or no one ever listened their way out of a job." So, and today there was a lot of good points, and to me it was actually educational listening to those perspectives. But what do you take away from this semi-thrashing you got a little bit today, which is open free discussion, you know, from what you heard today?
What do I take away? I take away there's still things that I don't know, and you all are opening my eyes, and I really thank you for it. That's the first thing. Secondly, what I don't know has lit a fire under me again, because every time I've come here, y'all have told me stuff that I am not aware of, and I want to be part of, I want to be educated. And so y'all really do a great job in educating me, and I thank you for that. This gentleman over here seems to know numbers quite well. So I think I need to definitely get with this gentleman over here and let him bend my ear as much as possible, because I need to know some things that I don't know. And I just want to stress how important it is to me to be a councilman for all of Georgetown, not just District 6, okay? I don't want to be I don't have an agenda. My agenda is to make it right for all of Georgetown. That is my biggest thing. So what I hear from you all is frustration. I hear that you want an individual that wants to ask questions, that you want somebody that's going to be able to listen and to be able to hear both sides and not already have a pre-formulated thought process. No, we're just going to do it this one way and that's the way it is and you're not going to listen. I want to listen.
Last question, Mr. Oberg.
It's not a really question. I apologize, I'm not gonna vote for you, but it's because I live in Round Rock. On behalf of the Georgetown people, I thank you for doing this.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You have any final comments you want to make?
I do. My biggest comment is that since we are growing so quickly, it's just important for me to help. I want to shepherd the growth of this town, and that is my biggest thing, because change is not easy, and I know that, but I don't feel that we're being represented with my counterpart that's in there. She's not my counterpart, she is the person that's in the seat right now. So I really want to shepherd the growth of this as best I can. I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to stay here. You know, God willing, I'm here till I'm 90. I'm only 51 right now, so I don't expect myself to stay in office for, like, I'm not going to be here, it's not going to be a career for me. But I do want to do the best that I can, and I hope that you all would support me. And if you all want to walk, please give me your name. I need all the help I can get because I'm trying to push out an incumbent, and it's just going to be, it's already a dog-eat-dog situation. So any help that you can give me, I sure would appreciate it. Those of you that ask me questions that I don't know about, if you leave me your name, telephone number, email address, I promise to get back with you as quickly as I can. I've started meeting with city officials to start getting answers to questions that people have asked me. And I'm not going to sit down and not let them not answer my questions. I've already started getting answers to some of my questions.
Mr. Oberg, have you taken a picture?
I have.
Yes.
Okay.
I have.
You have to.
I'd like to make a comment to you.
Yes, ma'am.
We meet every Saturday at 9:30. I want you to come to these meetings and find out what's going on. You are very intelligent people.
Yeah, you can tell.
9:30 in the morning.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.